Apparently, Matt Geika did not get the message. He didn't get the Pepsi boycott. Never Pepsi. Only the ice-cold taste of a Coca-Cola. The entire show I was recording and I could see that damn emoji from that pop bottle laughing in my face. It was terrible. Terrible. One thing that wasn't terrible was the game last night, and even though the Penguins were unsuccessful in winning the cup at home in Game 5, the game was fantastic, and the scene outside of the game, that may have been the real story that kind of shocked the nation. I was watching, I actually made it down to the second big screen. On my way down, there was a notification that went out that the big screen at Console Energy was completely filled, so I make my way to Market Square, and all of a sudden I look on TV, because the TV gets set up, they literally wheel in a big truck, this big, huge truck, and pop up a big screen TV out of nowhere. It was amazing. And they are showing the crowds. There's a picture of the crowd outside of Console Energy Center, and it was something spectacular. I've never seen anything like that in this city in my life. Just the sheer numbers, completely shutting down a major artery going up through the Hill District, through Uptown. Unbelievable. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people sitting outside of the arena, and they weren't just funneling in, they weren't just there temporarily, they were there for the entire game, and I kind of thought to myself, what the hell is the point of standing outside of the arena when you can't see or watch the game anyways? But nevertheless, they were there, and it was a fantastic sight to be able to see all of the people on national television behind the actual reporters for the NHL. It was unbelievable. I want to know what your favorite sports moment is. Give us a call, 412-4072-PGH. You can go head-to-head with Pittsburgh's moral compass, Brian Crawford, the master of the Millvale Shore, broadcasting here from Millvale Studios, live on video and audio at riversedgepgh.com. What was your favorite sports moment? What sports moments were you fortunate enough to experience yourself? We'll ask Bob Grove, Penguins historian, formerly of the Penguins Radio Network. He was their post-game and pre-game guy. He will be joining me at 11:40 this morning. I wanted to say 10:40. I'm about an hour behind. We made an exception for Geik Scott game. Bob Grove will join us. Really excited about that. And we're going to talk to Mike McMullen. We're going to talk to him about Bernie Sanders throwing in the towel. Just one phone call from Obama, and Sanders is basically out. And all of the Sanders supporters are whining, he's not throwing in the towel, making up excuses. No, he's just working with people because you have to do that in politics. Because basically what Sanders said is he didn't say he was suspending his campaign. He's going to continue to compete in the Washington primary. However, he called Hillary Clinton to ask her how he could work with her to defeat Donald Trump. That's throwing in the towel. Let's be realistic. You don't say that if you plan on really fighting her in the convention and possibly winning a contested convention. That's throwing in the towel. That's basically admitting defeat without really having the guts to admit defeat. So I'm a little disappointed there. I was hoping to see a fun convention fight. He says he's still going to bring up his issues at the convention, but, that's kind of the same as Ron Paul bringing up his issues at the Republican convention when he knew he had no chance of winning. He's throwing in the towel. He caved. Thanks, Obama. Again, fresh, ice-cold taste of Coca-Cola. Don't buy a Pepsi bottle as long as those damned emojis are on there, or unless they sponsor the show. We're going to bring in Mike up next. We're going to give him a call. I'm going to talk about the Sanders situation here on the River's Edge.
Hi, I'm Tom, and I know money.
And I'm Matt, and I know funny.
Catch us Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. Real financial information
For the regular guy.
right here at riversedgepgh.com.
Your voice for local music.
All right, I'm still running with that hashtag Still Sanders. We're going with Still Sanders and Never Pepsi. We're going to keep those hashtags running strong. Mike McMullen, he's with us now. Mike, Sanders, he basically threw in the towel. One call from Obama, and he caved. He folded like a stack of cards, didn't he?
Well, at the end of the day, it's good to be back with you this week from Michigan, heading to Minneapolis. But he, unfortunately, I thought he was going to fight to the end of the convention. Obviously,
Yeah, he caved. He said he was. He backed out on his word.
Well,
Everyone's backing out on their words, Mike. All these Republicans signed a pledge, and now they're rescinding that. We've got Sanders saying he's going to fight till the end, and now he's caving.
Well, there's a lot of pissed off Sanders people. There's a lot of pissed off right-wing conservatives. So I don't know what those far left-wing voters are going to do, let alone the right-wing voters. But obviously, Sanders was promised something big. Like in politics, it's the art of the deal or the art of the compromise. He's going to get something out of it, i.e. probably a big convention speech or something, but he's got a lot of supporters who are totally disappointed now, and they thought we're going to fight a floor fight to the convention, but unfortunately it's not, and we'll see. And then now with Trump's recent comments, if Mr. Trump would learn to keep his mouth shut. Oh, and by the way, he is coming to Pittsburgh tomorrow as well. I didn't know if you did not know.
Yeah, I did, and I thought that was interesting. He is a master of grabbing attention because he is going to be down in Pittsburgh with his at the convention center during the Pride Festival.
Yes.
So that's just something's going to happen.
Yes, and I honestly, I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm not even going to open up my mouth. So, but anyway, he's going to be.
I think it's planned. I think he knows what he's doing. He puts it down there. He knows something's going to happen. He's going to get the media attention. I'm not criticizing the man. I think it's genius.
I think it's genius too, but I'm not. One thing I learned: you keep your mouth shut, and I'm just going to let it play out. But he is in Pittsburgh tomorrow. And there's a lot of people rallying around now with his recent comments this week about the judge and so forth. I mean, he did sound a lot more statesman-esque and statesman-like as the nominee on Tuesday night when he officially clinched it and so forth. But I mean, if you go back to Bernie throwing in the towel, and speaking of the towels, I will have my terrible towel in a month on the convention floor, waving
in Cleveland.
In Cleveland, but unfortunately the Penguins last night couldn't put it away, and I can tell you even more, I just might be wearing my Malkin and Crosby shirt every night at the convention because they'll be the most recent Cup winners. So if we can go out there. But overall, it's going to be interesting times, and we'll see how it plays out.
Mike, what is your favorite sports moment? We're talking about people's favorite sports moment here today on the River's Edge, because last night's game, even though they lost, the scene was unbelievable.
Well, favorite sports moment, of all time?
Yes, you personally.
Oh, my God. Honestly, anytime the University of Pittsburgh, anytime a Pitt sport beats Penn State or West Virginia, I don't care if it's in pebbles or in golf or wrestling, but as a Pitt grad, anytime Pitt plays Penn State or West Virginia, that is most
That's
moment.
It for you. Do you think that I look at Lindsey Graham, I look at Jeb Bush, all of these people rescinding their pledge? They signed their name to a document, and I don't care if you support Trump or not. To me, it says something about you as a person when you sign your name to that line, and then all of a sudden you just rip that up. I mean, I bought yesterday, for the game. I was out in Market Square. I got food at Dunkin' Donuts because it was a shorter line. I was able to get in. I went and got a drink at the Fairmont because I wanted to use their restroom. And
Wait. Did you get your donut after 6 o'clock? Were you happy with getting your donut?
You know what? I was the last one in. They cut the sandwich line off right after me. It was just right around 7. So I made it, but all those other people didn't. They must have seen me coming and made an exception. That I wouldn't be surprised. That makes sense. That happens to me all the time. When you're a big shot like me, people recognize you. They bend the rules. But I go down there, I got a drink at the Fairmont, and, I used my credit card. I signed my name saying I would pay. I've decided to rescind that obligation, rescind that pledge, that commitment to pay. So I'm expecting refunds from both Dunkin' Donuts and the Fairmont.
Well, Brian, I'm old school. I mean, but unfortunately, in today's society, I'm old school the way I was brought up. But it's just, you need a legal contract for anything and everything. And look, did they really sign a legal contract? No, but I'm old
But they
school.
still signed a pledge. I mean, when you
I
do
agree.
something like
I
that,
agree.
it's supposed to mean something.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly.
I
And
never would have
that's why-
signed the pledge, Mike, personally. I think the idea that you're going to vote for somebody based on the letter next to their name, I think that's kind of disgusting, just to kind of completely ignore everything about the person. Oh, they've got the right letter next to their name. But hey, if you sign it, you sign it.
Well, I like I said, I'm old school. I don't need. I like to look somebody in the eye, shake my hand, and my word is my bond. I back up what I say, everything. But unfortunately, in today's society, no matter what you do, you just have, you need 3 or 4 legal documents and then some. And even then, if you don't like it, I'll see you in court.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate on both sides. And honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of people staying home or just not voting.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anything else, Mike, that we should know?
No, but I did send a couple emails to some county council members, and we will see if the Brian Crawford donut tax of
Thank you.
I think I put it in about 13 cents to raise for every donut sold in the city of Pittsburgh and in the suburbs, so we can have donuts after 6 o'clock, within Allegheny County.
I think that's fair. Thank you, Mike. All
Thanks,
right.
Brian. Have a good week.
That's good. Yes, thank you. Good thinking on Mike's part. We're going to talk more about some of my favorite sports moments. I'm going to bring Tyler on, ask him what his are as well up next. And I'm actually wide awake today. I got some good sleep, so Penguins win. If they would have won, maybe that wouldn't have been the case, but I slept in a little bit. Maybe I overslept. But it's all good. We got Here Tonight Now on riversedgepgh.com. Tyler, what are your favorite sporting moments? If you have to pick one, what's your favorite sporting moment?
Man, that's definitely a hard one for me. If I had to think about it, I'd say I don't know, the first Steelers Super Bowl, I think, was like that I got to see.
Yeah,
Super Bowl 40. That whole game to me was like life changing.
very cool.
Especially because I was a football player, and that was like, I think I was in like 6th grade. And I think that was the moment when I was like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But obviously I didn't.
No, but you're here, so that's good.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've had some very interesting sporting moments in my past. And I think yesterday's crowd, what we saw at Consol Energy Center around the building, down at Market Square, with the exception of the tons of trash that was left, which was really aggravating. I mean, clean up after yourself. I remember walking that place, like, just kind of disgusted. And I'm somebody where I take my trash with me, and I did throw it in a trash can.
No, that was
on my way out.
Disappointing.
But I mean, I always learned that you leave a place better than how you found it. So I've always tried to not only clean up after myself, but maybe do a little extra to, I always would rather do a little bit more than not enough. But apparently the drunks down, and honestly, there weren't that many drunks near me. I guess they were just slobs. But I guess there were a lot of drunks up by Consol Energy Center, but they just didn't care. But it was a fantastic scene, and I'll be honest, I was downtown for the first wild card game, the first time the Pirates were in the playoffs in so many years since the 90s.
So yeah, I was in Florida.
I was down there. Well, I was down there for that downtown, and I could actually feel the energy from PNC Park. You could actually hear the crowd from the Courthouse Tavern. I was down at the Courthouse Tavern at the time, which is right past Market Square, so that's a considerable distance. And I was able to hear the crowd and I was actually able to feel the energy from PNC Park. But outside, the atmosphere of the city couldn't compare. Even that game, it could not compare to what I experienced yesterday for the Game 5 Penguins playoff game.
That game broke my heart, man.
It was outstanding. Well, it broke my heart, too, because now they'll probably win on Sunday when I have to start work at 10 p.m. You would think they would consider me whenever they decide to lose a game. Actually, they played a pretty good game. It was Martin, the goalie for San Jose. He played phenomenal. And
44 saves.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, that last save that we had, the last goal that was scored on us, I felt that was preventable. I thought that goal could
I
have
thought,
been.
I think the first goal that he gave up too.
Yeah. So
Hey man, once it happens,
it
usually,
happens.
yeah.
But I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've been able to see. I actually saw, and one thing that's amazing to see is a championship game. Have you ever been live at a championship game?
No.
Now, I was able to see the Frozen Four came to Pittsburgh, and I was able to get tickets for that. And what an experience that was, to be able to see everybody rush the ice, rush the goalie at the end. There's streamers flying. It was really a fantastic sight. And if you are into college sports at all, they bring the band and the mascots. So the
Yeah.
band is playing between segments, and it was just really one of the coolest atmospheres. There was that, I was at the at the Three Rivers Classic. They have bands there. College hockey is really fantastic.
Can't say I've ever seen a college hockey game.
Oh, you have to see it.
No.
It's really awesome. If you want to go, you got to go to a big event because they bring the band. They bring
Yeah.
they pull out all the stops. One interesting game I was at was actually just a regular season Robert Morris game, and it was for a gentleman named Chris Kushnerek, and he was somebody. There's actually an old interview. I'll try to pull it up. It was from my old show down at Cal U, and he was battling cancer. And this game was to raise money for him. He played for RMU. He played professionally for the Wheeling Nailers. So they had a special game for him, and they were raising money for him. You could buy his shirts and everything else. And that's actually where I got this puck from. Here, this Robert Morris puck. It was from the Chris Kushnerek benefit game down at Robert Morris. So he ended up beating cancer despite being told he only had 6 months to live up in Canada. So that was a really special game.
That's awesome.
But to be honest, to me, my favorite sports memory has to come from the old Rostraver Ice Garden, where I would watch Cal U play, and I covered the team for 91.9 WCAL. In fact, I was the only student in the media who really covered the team on a regular basis. And I mean, this arena was always falling apart. There were 2 games against the same team. I believe it was Pitt at Johnstown, where they actually had to cancel the game twice due to terrible ice conditions. At one point, there was a hole in the ice, so they had to cancel the game. So then they brought them back for a redo, and they rescheduled the game, and they come in that game, and the Zamboni breaks down on the ice, and they actually drive a pickup truck onto the ice, and they're pulling the Zamboni off the ice with a pickup truck.
That's horrible.
And it was freezing in there. I mean, it was so cold. If it was cold outside, it was colder inside. But it was this huge arena, and despite all of its problems, it was kind of an interesting atmosphere because you were able to walk up right to the glass and see the teams play. They had a nice bar up above. You can go in and get a drink and watch the games down below. And despite all of its quirks, it was really just an interesting place to watch a game, and it was a fun atmosphere. And if you went down there for homecoming, again, the band was there, they had a dance team, the cheerleaders, everyone was down there, and it was just really one of the coolest experiences and it wasn't even NCAA, it was club hockey. But these guys played their hearts out. I got to meet the players, and I got to know a lot of them through covering them with interviews, having them on the show, and it was just really one of the neater experiences of my life. So that's probably my favorite hockey moment is probably the benefit. They had a benefit for a kid who passed away, and they brought everybody in for that, and the entire student body, like a lot of them came down. It was bigger than homecoming, really, and I think that was probably one of the coolest events I personally experienced.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so we're going to bring in Bob Grove next, and we're going to save the weird news for a little bit later. So we're going to play, let's play a song next. What do we have up?
Would You Stay the Night?
Yeah, why don't we play Would You Stay the Night by the Neon Swing Experience. Really a great big band group we have here. And we're going to bring in the, Bob Grove, Penguins historian, next on The River's Edge. Back on River Talk with Pittsburgh's moral compass, Brian Crawford, and I am joined by a legend himself, the Penguins historian, formerly of the Pittsburgh Penguins radio network, Mr. Bob Grove. How are you doing today?
Brian, it's great to be on with you.
Thank you. It's his second time on the River's Edge Radio Network. We're thrilled to have you here today. Mr. Grove, I got to ask you, you've been involved covering the Penguins for many years, back since the early 90s. Have you seen anything like we saw last night, looking at the crowd surrounding Consol Energy Center?
Well, no, I mean that was an unbelievable sight, to be honest with you, and I think we all here in Pittsburgh knew it was going to be pretty intense around Consol Energy Center. But I have to admit, I was taken aback when I saw the photos of what was going on down there. Absolutely, a real, for me, it just cements again what great fans we have here in Pittsburgh. But the amount of people who turned out outside the building was something we've never ever seen here before.
Yeah, I was down for the Pirates wild card game. I was downtown for that in the Courthouse Tavern, and you could feel the energy from the game. You could hear the noise from PNC Park. But I'll be honest, outside of that, it just didn't even compare to what I experienced last night. And to me, that's kind of shocking given how many years the Pirates were out of it. And I think it just really shows how this team and this franchise in the sport of hockey has really grown in the city. And, statistically, the Penguins are vastly more popular among younger people than any of the other major sporting teams. And I think that really this is kind of a sign that maybe one day we'll see a day when the Penguins are maybe the head honchos in the city of Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, there's no question about what you say and the growth of the game here in Pittsburgh, that's really been going on now for 30 years since Mario showed up. But, I just continue to be impressed by the passion that Pittsburgh fans have for all their teams. And you mentioned, the Pirates playing a wild card game. And, let's remember, that's a little bit different when you've got a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
Sure, yeah.
So then a Pirate game. But, yeah, it's, the thing that's fueling it now is not only has it been Mario and Sidney Crosby for a different generation, but, kids today have grown up, their parents were hockey fans. A lot of them, which wasn't always true 30 years ago, of course. And a lot of these kids and young people play the game now, which certainly was not true in 30 years ago. You had some people playing in pockets of the South Hills and some other places, but the sport is universally accepted in Pittsburgh in a way that it's never been before. So what you're going to have is generation after generation of fans in Pittsburgh, and that's a great thing.
Do the Penguins do a better job of breeding their fans? I mean, you look at the way they invest in youth hockey. I was talking earlier about my days covering the Cal-U Vulcans out of the Rostraver Ice Garden, and there was a big sign up there, a big banner for the Penguins because of the time that they've invested in that arena. And really anywhere we played, you would see a presence from the Pittsburgh Penguins. You look at the student rush situation where the Penguins provide opportunities for younger fans to get involved and see the game who would never be able to afford tickets otherwise. And I don't see that happening in other sports in this city, and really in many places outside of the city as well. I think that the Penguins have kind of bred their fan base to a point, and I think that's probably why you're seeing this insurgence of fans that just keep growing and growing.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I agree with what you just said. The Penguins have always been, for me, an organization that's very, very focused. I say always. I'd say in the last 10 years or so, they've been really, really focused on growing their young fan base. And you mentioned the Student Rush program, but it goes well beyond that. I mean, they're very cognizant of using social media to reach them in the right way, and I think it's paid big dividends for them, no question.
What are your thoughts on last night's game? I look at the game and I thought the Penguins actually played a very good game. I thought they played well. I just think it just happened to not be their night, and I think that San Jose came out very strong, and I just think that it was just really good goaltending coming out from that team.
Yeah, the Penguins were great. They were the better team again last night, but they didn't have the better goaltender. So it's really, for me, a very similar game to many others in this series and in this playoffs, and it really came down to the first 5 minutes. Matt Murray was not good early in the game.
No.
I thought both San Jose's first goal and their third goal were were shots that could have been stopped. I don't really fault him on the second goal, or there was a defensive breakdown on that one. So the Penguins, and this was something that, that I think a lot of us had talked about going into that game. Managing the emotions was going to be a challenge for the Penguins, especially early on. Once the game gets along, you just get into playing it. But I thought the Penguins were not good early. Matt Murray was not good early, and even though they tied the game up, it helped to take some of the energy out of the place when you give up goals that
Sure.
early. And the Penguins have just got to find a way. Look, they've been out shooting teams almost every game for quite some time now in these playoffs. The Penguins scorers have just got to find a way to bear down and bury some of these chances they're getting. Martin Jones was really good last night, no question. I mean, he was the star of the game. He's the guy who won the game for San Jose.
Absolutely.
So I'm willing to give him lots of credit, but I'm going to say this: the Penguins scorers, when they get in the positions they're in, they've got to start finishing these plays with a little more regularity.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think going back into San Jose, I think we'll see. That's the one thing I like about this team is they don't give up. Being down 2-0 so early, they did come back to tie the game, and even though it wasn't their best game, there was that compete level all the way to the end. And as you said, they were, through most of the game, the better team. I'm expecting to see them come out strong against San Jose in the upcoming game, and I just don't see. I want to get your thoughts. I don't see San Jose being able to beat the Penguins 2 more times, especially since this is the first game they've ever led in the series, and I just think I think they're going to have a hard time. I don't think it's impossible, but I think the odds are definitely in the Penguins' favor to win one of the next 2 games.
Well, yeah, certainly they are. I mean, the Penguins haven't lost 3 games in a row since either December or January. It's been a long time, and nobody in the history of the Stanley Cup Finals has come back from a 3-1 deficit since 1942 when the Leafs did it. So, all the history and the tendencies and the numbers are all in the Penguins' favor, but they've got to go out and make it happen, and I expect them to have a strong game again in Game 6, but that doesn't mean they're going to win the game. So,
No.
We have a lot of people talk about the fact they don't think there's any momentum from one game to the next. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, and I really never have. I think Peter DeBoer said it best. When the Sharks went down 3-1, it took a lot of pressure off them because now everybody says it's over. They have no chance of winning, and I think they've sort of embraced that. So we'll see. Going back, the Penguins are going to have a better game from Matt Murray, and the other thing they're going to need is they're going to need Sidney Crosby's line to start showing up on the score sheet. It's been three games now where they haven't had anything, and the Penguins are going to need them.
Bob, I agree with you completely, especially about momentum, because you look at the Sharks, for example, and to say that things don't carry from game to game, they finally have won a game in this series or won a second game. They're back in it. So obviously that's going to, in my opinion, affect your confidence level. If you're down 3-1, you're able to make a series out of it. You're coming back home to your fans. That has to play into it. I would think.
Yeah, I mean it's they're going to be a tough out no matter what. And I picked this series to go 7 games, so it's not surprising to me. And I think the Penguins understand that. I mean, it's really, I don't think there are any real secrets left to be told in this series. I think it's going to go kind of the same way it's been going. But I think if we continue to look at the way it's played out, it's goaltending that might be the difference. And this is the only thing I think really the Penguins, and I don't want to say need to worry about because I know they're not worried. Matt Murray hasn't lost 2 in a row all playoffs, so
Yes.
they're not worried about it. But it's something to keep an eye on, especially the way he plays early in Game 6.
Bob, you have kind of transitioned. You were on the Penguins radio network. Now you're the Penguins king of Twitter. You're all over it. You're lots of great information. Do you feel that you almost get more interaction with your fans and your former listeners now that you've gotten involved with the social media more? Because I feel like I'm seeing your name all the time, almost as much as I did when you were on air.
Well, thanks for that. It's just, the Twitter is just a way for me to stay in touch with the game, and absolutely, I'm having a lot more interaction with fans because we didn't, in my last few years on the radio network, we did not get a ton of calls to the post game show, and so this has been a great way for me to interact with fans. I really, really enjoy it.
we've been talking about our favorite sports moments that we've personally experienced today all show, just given that the size of the crowd that we saw yesterday, and I thought that was a really defining moment in Pittsburgh sports, even though it was a loss, just to see the sheer numbers of people that came out. What would you say is your personal most memorable moment that you've experienced through your life watching sports?
Well, as far as events that I was at, without a question, it would be the '91 Cup championship of the Penguins, because I was fortunate enough to be covering the team back then, and I was in Minneapolis for the game. And that's a day that, quite frankly, a lot of us Penguin fans back then weren't sure when or if we were ever going to see the Penguins win a Stanley Cup. So to see it actually happen in front of our eyes, that's something that I would put at the top of my list.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Mr. Grove.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That's Bob Grove. I am Brian Crawford, and in under 30 seconds, we've got your weird news here on the River's Edge Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Mike Storer, host of the Awesome Cast, which you can hear right here on River's Edge Radio. We're talking tech, getting geeky every week with people from Pittsburgh in the industry. Go check us out, awesomecast.net, or listen to us right here on River's Edge Radio, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. after Funny Money.
All right, Tyler, I'm going to convince you to vote for the Donald. Right now.
How?
Okay. Well, do you believe in the supernatural?
Somewhat, yes.
Somewhat? Okay.
Somewhat.
Do you believe people see things in different items, everyday items? They'll see, the Mother of God in their bread. They'll see maybe the word of Buddha spelled out in their alphabet cereal, things like that, right?
Okay.
Do you believe in that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
See, okay. So Donald Trump, a man, swears he can see the Donald in a piece of tile on his bathroom floor. The Donald has miraculously appeared in a tile on a floor of a man's house, the bathroom of a man's house. So it's fate.
It could be fate.
It's fate.
This
You have to vote for the Donald. I mean, these are signs from another realm.
I hope God doesn't want the Donald as the president.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he'll. Even if you don't like the Donald, here's a piece of wisdom for you.
All right.
Right. Okay. Let me think here. I had it in my mind. What? It just left my mind. Okay. God uses terrible people to do good things, right?
Yeah.
St. Paul, for example.
Okay.
He didn't crucify, but he persecuted hundreds of Christians. He's considered a saint. Maybe Donald will become a saint. Maybe he'll have a moment, and all I'm saying is he's in this man's bathroom tile floor. You got to check it out.
I was gonna say
I
gotta see this.
You got to check it out. I mean, it's clear as day. The Donald, the fates are bringing us
the toupee
in his
is
direction.
There. The flippity flip.
Flippity flip toupee. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'll pull it up. Let me see if I can find the picture of it. I don't really see it actually. Oh, it doesn't show it on here. If you look at the website version, it will show you the picture of the tile next to the Donald's face. Horrible. Oh, let's see. We were supposed to do weather, but I got the weather too late, and I didn't have time to edit it. So we'll post that for you in post production. You can check out the weather with our chief meteorologist Heather Nevels. It's very beautiful out. Very nice for the Arts Festival.
No rain for once.
There was rain earlier, I believe, when it first started. I could be wrong, but I believe there was a little bit of rain.
It does always rain.
It always rains. Always rains during the Arts Festival. It's terrible. We're going to end the show in just a few minutes. And then don't forget, you can listen to... What is today? Today is Friday. Right. It is? Is it Friday?
It is Friday.
It is Friday,
yeah, I was
yes.
gonna say it is
You can
Friday.
listen to River Talk again on Monday. We'll be back with you at 10 a.m. at our normal time. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. And then on Wednesday, you can listen to Bold Nights Out and find out what is going on next week in the city of Pittsburgh. I'm Brian Crawford. And and by the way, I wanted to mention a shout out to James Kerwin. He's been doing a lot of our post-production work. Today is James's birthday. So happy birthday to him. We'll give him a cowbell ring. And he will be in later. He's working on his birthday. That's how committed he is. So he'll be in later today. We'll wrap up the show next on the River's Edge.
Hey, this is Matt Geica, the host of your alternative sports talk program on the River's Edge. It's called Geick's Got Game, and it's every Friday at 7 a.m. I'll give you a peek behind the sports media curtain, zoom out for the big picture, and always obsess over the details of the games, teams, and players we love or love to hate. That's Geick's Got Game every Friday at 7 on the River's Edge.
Animal rights activists flocked Console Energy Center last night. Everyone thought it was fans of the games. It turns out it was a protest. People were protesting a shark which was taken from the zoo, slain, and thrown over a parkway sign right outside the city of Pittsburgh. So animal rights activists are just livid over this shark thrown over the sign leading up to last night's NHL game. There's a trend going on Twitter called Justice for Jaws, trending all over the place. It's insane. Just the anger and vitriol over this slain shark. It was apparently done by Penguin fans trying to show their support for the team, but the animal rights community is just in an uproar. So we've got that. What do we have up next week? Next week we have Amanda Narcisi on Wednesday. Monday we're going to bring in Matt Geica again, so he will be able to give us his update, sports update, talking specifically about Game 6, which will occur the night before in San Jose. I wish they would do an earlier game for Sunday. They used to do that. They used to do earlier games for Sundays, but these playoffs, they're not doing it. I'd be able to watch it. You would think they would consider people like me when they're making their plans, but I don't know. Aggravating. Remember, the hashtag is going strong, never Pepsi. We're going to have to talk with Matt Geica and let him know until Pepsi is sponsoring the show. No Pepsi in this studio. Only the ice-cold, refreshing taste of a Coca-Cola. We'll catch you on Monday at riversedgepgh.com, Pittsburgh's voice for local music.